I can't use it anymore. Huh? Yeah. It's exactly like that. And you know, I shouldn't be too cheap. It's not even my money. I just got to pay it, and they'll pay me back. But I'm still too cheap to do it. I know, right? It's embarrassing. I shouldn't be that way, but I am. This has all been recorded. All right. There's 2 systems of measurement in the world. There are 190 countries in the UN. 187 of those countries use one of these systems. 3 countries in the world use the other system. Unfortunately, one of the countries in the world that uses the other system is the United States. And as a result of that, the entire rest of the world, the United States have 350 million people. The rest of the world has 7 billion people. The other 6.65 billion people in the world have to learn this other system because the idiot Americans won't change over to what the other 6.5 billion people in the world use. I lie, to be fair. I said it's 3 countries. The other 2 countries are Myanmar, which used to be called Burma, which is possibly one of the most backwards countries in the world, and Liberia, which I bet $1 million not one of you could find on a map. Where's Liberia? You got a 1 in 7 shot. There's only 7 continents.
Is it in Europe?
No. It is in Africa. It is on the west coast of Africa, right under the ice cream cone scoop. Yes. It's a country invented so they could send back slaves that were brought from Africa to America. So they were sent back because when they were freed, they said, you want to go back to Africa? And people said, yeah, I want to go back to Africa. But nobody knew what country they were from. So they made a country for people to go back to, and it was Liberia. That's the only other country in the world that uses the stupid system. Everybody else uses the good system. So let's start with, of course, the good system. What is the good system? The metric system is what everybody calls it. It's not really called the metric system. We call it the metric system, but it is really called, and I get to write a fun little accent. I can't remember. I think it's on that one. The Système International, which is my bad French. It is actually called the SI system because indeed it was invented by the French. And it was invented by the French as basically part of the French Revolution. I know this is not socialist class, but I enjoy this, so I make you sit and listen to it. Before the French Revolution, there were like thousands of little tiny countries in France, all run by their own little noble person. Now, I say noble person, but really, let's be honest, they were all noble men. The noble person would set taxes. So if Thomas had a crop of alfalfa sprouts that he wanted to take from his farm to Paris, he would have to go through all these little tiny places, and every one of those people would tax him. Because that's what noble people do. They don't actually do anything except own land and tax you, and then you have to pay them so they can live their lives and, party like in District 1 in Hunger Games. Right? Okay. So Thomas was getting pissed off by having to pay all these taxes all the time because the taxes were decided upon by the noble person. So part of the French Revolution was, Zut alors, we do not want to pay your taxes. And then, I know, I can't speak enough French. You say, Zut alors, we do not want to pay your taxes in a bad French accent? Yeah, it's a Franglish. Yeah, everybody does that. I do it all the time, you outrageous French person. So they got mad, and they had a fight, and they chopped off a bunch of heads. You know all that, because you took Social Studies 9. But one of the good things that came out of it was the metric system, the Système International, because it made everybody have to measure things the same way. And now, why do we call it the metric system? Because it's based on the meter, but only for measurement. That's the only thing it's based on. What it's actually based upon is the number 10. Because it works just like Ah, my angry bird. He's okay. It's based on the number 10, just like the way we count, right? Everything is based on tens. So it doesn't matter what it is. The System International works all the time. Now, the reason I'm going out of my way is because everybody says, I don't understand how it works. It always works the same. So, before we go too much further, who would like to offer me, now I've given you one, the meter. What is another metric measurement? Now, when I say measurement, all of you immediately think of distances. But we measure a bunch of other stuff. Like what, Preston? Celsius. That's how we measure temperature. Absolutely right. That's a good one. Thomas? Kilos. Weight. Well, not weight. That's a bad word. Mass. That's how we measure mass. Kilometers. That's a distance. Again, yeah. What else? Anybody think of any other metric things? Liters. Yes, how we measure volume. Anything else? Centimeters. Distance still. Yep. That's enough. That's all that we use in the real world, right? Like there's a million other things we could measure, but screw them. We measure weight, distance, and volume. That's what we care about in the real world, right? Like we could measure pressure in kilopascals, but come on. So we know we're measuring all that stuff. Now, all those things, what did you hear repeated more than once? Thomas said what? Kilogram. And Catherine said what? Oh, sorry, Brittany. Sorry. Kilometer, right? Gunika said centimeter, right? Preston said Celsius, which is actually called centigrade. What are you hearing? Centi, kilo. You're hearing prefixes, right? That's how the metric system works. It doesn't matter what it is. Centi, kilo, there's a whole bunch of them. You all know them from computers. Megabyte, kilobyte, gigabyte, terabyte. But nobody knows the lower ones. Going below 1. What are they? Does anyone know any of them except centi? What do you got, AJ? Milli? Yeah. Anybody know any more? Arsh? Decimeter? Yeah. Anybody know any beyond milli? No one? Nanometer? Picometer? They're really tiny. I don't even know what's lower than pico. I don't remember. I don't remember what's bigger than tera either. I think it's a peta, isn't it? I think so. I can't remember. But they're all based on the number 10. So what does that mean? You start at a base. And whatever that base is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all the same thing. So the base that Thomas was speaking about was grams. The base that Brittany was speaking about was meters, right? It doesn't matter what it is. You start at a base, and then you go up by tens. They're multiplications of 10. So if I multiply by 10, my next one is a decameter. Decagram, deca whatever. Then my next one is a hecto. And then my next one is a kilo. Now, which ones of those do we use in Canada? We use the base and we use the kilo. We don't use deca and hecto at all, do we? But in the rest of the world, they actually do. Going smaller, the first one is deci. So this is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Going this way, it's 1/10. The next one is centi, which we actually use, 1/100th. And then milli, which we actually use, 1/1000th. And you can see the Frenchness of it all, yes? Deci, centi, 100 cents in a dollar, cent. Mil, 1,000, M-I-L-L-E. That's how the metric system works. And it doesn't matter what it is. If I told you that my brain had a power of 300 kilocahubliheins, you would know that it was 300,000 regular kahubliheins. It doesn't matter what the base is. That's why the metric system is better. All the measurement is the same. Now, what's the other system? The Imperial System. And this is the one used in 3 countries in the world: America, Liberia, and Myanmar. However, we do use it in Canada. What do we use it for in Canada? Thomas? Yep, we still use it for height and weight. Unless you're in Quebec. Because in Quebec, if you tell a French person, you say, I weigh 180 pounds, they're like, what does that mean? And you have to say 85 kilograms. Well, you say 85 kilogram, and they say, oh, and then they punch you in the mouth for making fun of their accent. One time I was doing a scavenger hunt, and we had to get a picture of ourselves getting a piggyback from a stranger. And we asked a French dude to give us a piggyback, and the French dude says, how much do you weigh? And the guy says, I weigh 185 pounds. He says, I do not know what that means. And he was the other guy was like 90 kilo. And I cannot lift you. But then his girlfriend gave him a piggyback. I know, right? It was so embarrassing. The guy was like, I cannot lift that. And then his girlfriend gave one of us a piggyback. Another story for another day. We still use it for height and weight. So how tall are you? You automatically say feet and inches. Automatically. Why? Because we're attached to America. Everywhere else in the world, they don't do that. I personally am 5'7.5". I used to be 5'7 3/4", but I've shrunk 1/4 of an inch in 7 years. I'm worried about this because I was already short. It's not like I have a lot of height to spare. All my life, I've been lying and saying I'm 5'8". And 1 year in this class, not this class, in the old school, the kids are like, how tall are you, Mars? I'm 5'8". No, you're not. So we were measuring everybody, and it turns out I was 5'7 3/4". It was very embarrassing for me. Brittany, we're coming to the story. I know you can't wait, right? Does anybody know your brother? Oh, it's too bad. It would make a better story. Mr. DeVries knows your brother. We talked about that yesterday. Now, the Imperial System is based on what? Who knows? What do you got? Good guess. Marianne. Yes, body parts. That's what the Imperial System is based on, which is why it's the stupidest system in the damn world. Because what would happen if your king at the time was Shaquille O'Neal, who you guys won't remember very well, but he was a basketball player, had a size 22 foot. His foot was like that long. That would stink, right? How tall are you? I'm 2 feet. Anyways, it's based on body parts. Now, we've had lots of body parts. We've used feet. Does anybody know of another thing we measure with a body part? No, a thing that we measure using a body part. How tall are horses? Who knows? AJ? Yeah, we measure horses in hands. Again, stupid. How tall is your horse? It's like 3 hands tall. And you think you're going to get this little tiny horse, but it was Shaquille O'Neal hands, and they're like that big. Or, other way around, Deadpool, in the first one, after he gets his hand chopped off and the baby hand grows, how tall are you? 75 hands. I like that part when his baby hand grew back. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, they made some dirty jokes about it, but it was still pretty funny. I haven't seen the second one yet, though, so I don't know. My son says it's not as good. Is he right? The first one was better? Always is. Except Empire Strikes Back. It was better than Star Wars. If you don't like that, you're wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion. Body parts. And body parts are stupid, right? And to make it doubly stupid, it's not based on 10. It's based on whatever the heck people wanted to base it on. Which is dumb, because how do we count? What do we count in? Tens, right? So, we hate the Imperial System, but because we're attached to America, and we still use it for height and weight, and we still use it for construction, for some reason. Even though in Europe they do not. My buddy was over in Europe building houses, and everything was metric. And then he got home, and he was all screwed up. So, millimeter, centimeter, meter, kilometer. Those are the important ones. Those are the SI system. These are, of course, distances. But the concept works for everything. It works for weight. It works for mass. It works for volume. Because it's the SI system, it's better. Does anybody know what the word referent means? Yeah, a reference. You're referring to something else, right? So if I ask you, how long is a millimeter? How are you going to describe it to me? Irvine? Gunika. Another thing, yes, right? Because you can't tell me, oh, it's this much. That doesn't work. That doesn't help me any, right? You can't tell me it's 1,000th of a meter. Then what's a meter, right? So a referent is what you use to explain something. So for me, and I'm going to do this first one so you see what I'm talking about, I would say the referent, which is to refer to it, I'd say that's the thickness of a fingernail. I'm running out of room. Fingernail. Everybody cool? You guys give me a referent for the other three. Talk to your neighbor, see if you can figure it out. You all know what about a centimeter looks like. Pretend I'm an American. Because in American you say, oh, it's a centimeter long. What? Okay, it's true. Unless you meet an American that is a scientist or the military. The military in America uses metric. Or anybody that makes anything like beer. My buddies in America that make beer do everything in metric because they only have to move the decimal place. So go. Come up with 3 more for the next 3. I'll take a sip of coffee while I wait. Talk to your neighbor if you need to. Yes. Thank you, Catherine. I like them as well. Wait until Christmas time. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just to be fun, you don't have to do it, but it's fun that you do. So, who has a referent for me? What's a centimeter, huh? That's my American impression. If any of you are American, don't be offended. It's all right. Because if you've seen Super Troopers 2, you know what Americans think all Canadians sound like. So, Super Troopers 2 is awesome. Are you American? No. You just have the shirt? Just in case you get lost?
No, I just bought it from
Where am I? Here. I've driven through 22 states. I know all about America. I actually enjoy visiting America because I learn things like high school kids in Tennessee think America is bigger than Canada because they think Canada is only that little bit at the top of the map. You know, when you look at a map of America and they always show that little bit of Canada on the curve, they're like, Canada's only like this big. True story. Kid at a Wendy's in Nashville who tried to sell me a magazine subscription to help pay for his grad. I said, I live in Canada. He's like, Canada's so tiny. I'm like, you're graduating high school when? This year. I see. I live in Vancouver. Well, Toronto is close to Detroit, so why don't you just get it sent to Detroit? Graduating high school that year. I say, dude, you better really learn your Wendy's menu because you're not going much past that. I didn't say that to him because it was America and he might have shot me. Because, of course, as you all know, guns don't kill people. They help, but they don't. So centimeter. What's a centimeter? What do you got?
the width of your pinky.
We're going to go with the pinky. Does everyone agree? Let's check. Who's got a ruler? I've got one right here. Let's check. It's perfect. Catherine has a perfect pinky finger. Does anybody have a different referent? Or is everybody happy with the width of a pinky? All right. I'm actually... Wait. I'm going to write it in pink. Oh, I should have just written width of a finger in pink because it was the pinky finger. Get it? See what I did there? I know you all don't want to laugh because that will just encourage me, but you should all know that if you don't laugh, I will continue to do this anyway. So there's no stopping it. It's like a tsunami of hilarity, right? And you can tell me that you don't think I'm very funny, but as I look out, I see all of you smiling and laughing, so you cannot fool me. You will try and sit there, but it will not work. What about a meter? How long's a meter? What you got? AJ. How long's a yard? About a meter. How long's a meter? Because he's right, it is almost exactly a yard. But if you don't know how long a yard... Now pretend I'm a French person. How long is it? Quoi est une yard? That wouldn't... Right, it would have been like esque... I don't know. My grade 8 French is letting me down. So what's a meter? An arm? Leg? Okay. Up to your belly button. Unless you're Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, but all of you, the point of this, everybody is saying a different thing, yes? But as soon as they say that thing, all of you are getting an idea about how long a meter is, right? I'm glad none of you said a meter stick. Because that is kind of silly, right? What's a reference for a meter? A meter stick. So, yeah, all right. The point I'm trying to make is you all now have a vague idea of the length of a meter, right? An arm, a leg, up to your belly button, a step, something, right? For me, it's almost exactly 1 step of regular walking. So whatever the referent is, you can write down what you want, but the point is it has to allow you to have an idea of what a meter is. And the reason I'm doing this is because when you do calculations for distances and things, if you have no idea how long they are, you do a bunch of math and you do it wrong, you're going to give me a crazy answer that makes no sense, correct? Like if I asked you how tall that window was in meters, and you did a bunch of math and you told me that window was 18 meters tall. And you did all the math, and you wrote 18 meters. Is it even possible for that window to be that tall? No. But a bunch of you will hand me in answers that make no sense because I did the math, I showed my work. That's why I'm asking you to find a referent. Does everybody understand? So when you do all that work, you have an idea of whether it could possibly be right or not. Okay? So, Brandon... Do 18 of your ground to belly buttons fit on that window? No. Hell no. So you wouldn't hand that in as the right answer, would you? If I told you we were going to walk to Chilliwack and you said that it was 25 meters to Chilliwack, does that make any sense? Of course not. Because if you took 25 of Brandon's belly button to the ground, would you get to Chilliwack? No. If you took 20 of Thomas's arms, would you be in Chilliwack? Your arms are long, but they're not that long. If you took 25 of AJ's wise-ass yards answer, would you be in Chilliwack? No. Even if you showed me the work and you got that work to equal 25, could it possibly be the right answer? No. That's why I'm spending so much time talking about referents. Everybody understand? So I'm going to put down, in all this train of thought or yapping, I've completely forgotten everybody's reference except Brandon's. So I'm going back to my own. It's about a step for me. Okay? You can write down anything you want. Whatever you pick as a referent. Now, what makes finding a referent for a kilometer difficult? What is it? What's the problem with it? It's really big. There is no part of our bodies that we could say, it's me, right? No, you're not a kilometer tall, dude. So how could you come up with a referent for a kilometer? What would you have to do?
Like from the place you are at, and then you say like another place that's the
Yeah, exactly. That's what you would have to do. You'd have to measure it in terms of something else, right? So who has a referent for a kilometer? This is always my favorite one, to hear how far you people think a kilometer is. Preston.
Like 2 laps around rotary.
Oh, you wizen, yes. 2 laps of the rotary track is 800 meters, which is 0.8 of a kilometer. Well done. Except hard to line the track up somewhere, right? Okay, who else has one for me? Brendan. Running around Mill Lake. Good one. But again, if you're going to run around Mill Lake, you've gone in a circle, haven't you? So hard to use for a distance. How could you use, and Preston, that works for you, how could you use, both of you, because you're both really, really close to what a kilometer is, how could you use that practically in the real world? What other measurement could you use? If you're running around Mill Lake, how can you use that running around Mill Lake to know if you've gone a kilometer? Oh, you're going back to steps. Okay, that's fine. What do you do when you run around Mill Lake? Why are you running around Mill Lake? You're all doing it for class. Why? What is happening at the end of it? What do you get? You get what? Somebody said it over there. You get a time, right? So if you run around Mill Lake in 10 minutes, then how long does it take you to go a kilometer? 10 minutes. So if you run 10 minutes, you've gone a kilometer. Everybody picking up what I'm putting down? So you're using a different measurement as a referent. Everybody with me? But it still works. For me, I'm a little bit on the chubby side. I take about 6 minutes to run a kilometer. If I'm going to be running like a 10K, because, it's a long ways. If I'm going to be running a 1K, I can get it down to like 4.5. If I know I don't have to run any further. Everybody understand? So my referent here would be 10 minutes of easy jogging. Picking up what I'm putting down? And again, if I say, I do a bunch of math, right? And I say that Chilliwack is 1,000 kilometers from here. Does that make any sense? Of course not. I can do it with driving too. If you're driving 60 kilometers an hour, you're going 1 kilometer every minute. Right? So driving to Chilliwack at 60 kilometers an hour, if it's 1,000 kilometers away, it would take 1,000 minutes to get to Chilliwack. Does that make any sense? Of course not. So you wouldn't hand that in as the right answer. You picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. So whatever your referent is. Mine is, what color should I use? I'm going with dark green. 10 min of easy jog. For me. I don't know what your guys' is. Everybody understand? The reason I'm making you write down your own is because you're the one that's doing the work and you're the one that needs to check your work. Picking that up? All right. Relationship. I only have these 4 because in Canada, these are the only 4 we use. Milli, centi, regular, and kilo. We don't use any of the rest of them. Like I say, they do in Europe. For example, if you buy a can of pop in Europe, it says 33 CL, 33 centiliters, whereas we would have 330 milliliters. Everybody good? So which of these is the base? Which of these is the starting? Selena? Meter. This is the base. Centi is 1/100th of the base. And milli is 1/1000th of the base. Kilo is 1,000 base. Everybody with me? Now, just because some of you may end up in one of these other countries that uses all the measurements, I'm just going to take a second to show you all of them. All right? It's going to be recorded. There's not much room for you to write this down. You don't really need to. Base is where we start. Then we can go up. I like to draw it as stairs. Deca, that's times 10. Hecto, that's times 100. And kilo is times 1,000. If you go downwards, it's Deci, which is 1/10, Centi, which is 1/100th, and Milli, which is 1/1000th. And all you do is move the decimal place. Okay? Because you're multiplying or dividing by 10. Everybody cool? So if I have 1,750 meters at the base, in decameters, that is 175. Because a decameter is 10 times bigger, right? So I have to move the decimal one spot. Hecto, it's 17.5. Kilo, it's 1.75. If I'm going the other way, I add zeros. 17,500, 175,000, and then 1,750,000. Everybody cool? Just move the decimal. If it makes a space, you add a zero, just like when you're multiplying. Now, let's get on to the doofus side of things. Imperial. So, we've already talked about it. Give me some reference. Come up with 4. You all know how long a foot and an inch are. You all measure your height in feet and inches. So, go. Come up with 4 reference. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I didn't clap. But I'm gonna. My grade 7 teacher did that all the time. All right, what's your reference for an inch? Marianne?
Like
2 thumbs side by side. Cool in the gang. Who's got another one? Proud. A penny. Like the width? Okay. Or the width. Listen to me. The diameter. What a dummy I am. Who else has one? Vonnie. Paperclip? Selena? Thickness of a math textbook. Good, good, good. Everybody is good. For me personally, and this is weird because it's almost exact, it's from here to here. The end of my thumb to the first joint. That's almost exactly an inch on my short, stubby, sausage-like fingers, which they are really kind of tiny, and they're all crooked and mangled from rugby. But my thumb works. So everybody has their own, right? So mine, it's my thumb joint for me. What's a foot? My personal favorite is what this crew has come up with.
it's a 12-inch subway sandwich.
The big sub at Subway. It's called a foot long. I know it is. I've managed Subway. It's not quite a foot. But it's a referent, right? If you say you're, 6 feet tall, you can envision 6 Subways together and figure it out. Brandon. Wrist to elbow. Excellent. Nobody has said the one that it's named for, though. Your foot. This is 12 inches. This is a foot. My foot goes to there. So everybody has one, yes? Now, obviously, you have to be careful. My wife has feet like a canoe. Her feet are gigantic. My sister-in-law has feet like a little baby girl. She is a fully grown adult woman, and she wears a size 5. I know. My wife, and she won't like me saying this, so I'm just going to pause the recording. We're back. A foot. For me, right? My actual foot is a foot. Now, hey AJ, what's your reference for yard? Say it. Meter. Yeah! So for me, obviously, it's a step again, right? Now, what's a mile? This is always fun for me. Is a mile bigger or smaller than a kilometer? Bigger. Excellent. How much bigger? Anyone know? It's, pardon me? About 600 meters bigger than a kilometer? Yes, exactly. So, it's a little bit more than 1.5 kilometers, right? So my referent was 10 minutes of easy jogging. So what would it be for a mile? 16, but 16 is a pain in the ass number to multiply, right? So for a referent, I would use 15 because it's easy to think in 15s. Now you had your hand up, someone over there. What did you guys have?
No, it got answered.
Oh, okay. So for me, it's 15 minutes of jogging. Now, why is this section a problem for Imperial? Manraj. There's no pattern. It's stupid. So, none of those are the base, are they? Right? Because there's nowhere to start from. If we start at inches, if we say inches is the base, then a foot is 12 inches, right? Okay. So a yard should have something to do with 12, shouldn't it? But it doesn't, because a yard is 3 feet, or 36 inches. So then a mile must have something to do with yards and feet, but it doesn't, because it's 1,760 yards, 5,280 feet, and 20 something, or and like, I can't remember how many inches it is. Stupid. It makes no sense. So we'll make foot the base. Okay, so an inch is 1/12 of a foot, not 0.1, 1/12. And then a yard is 3 feet. So there's no base. So what I like to do in here is I just fill them in. 1 inch. I start there. And then this is 1 foot is 12 inches. Then I go to here, 1 yard, 3 feet, 36 inches, and 1 mile is 5,200 and, oh, sorry, I forgot the yards. 1,760 yards and 5,280 feet. Now, do you think that I insist that you memorize these? No, I don't. Why? Because that's a waste of your brain power. Do you think that I need you to know how to use them? Yes. This is the type of stuff that is on that extra document that I'm going to give you. Okay? So you do not ever have to memorize this, but you do need to know how to work with it. Everyone cool? Now the other thing that's a pain about Imperial, what are these? Distances, weights, what? These are distances, but there's no pattern because weights are different. In metric, they're always the same. Kilogram works the same way as kilometer. But in weight, it's in Imperial, it's all different. 1/12, 3 feet, blah, blah, blah. Weights are different. The smallest weight in Imperial is an ounce. And then 1 pound is not 12 ounces. That would make sense. It's 16 ounces. Right? And then, what's the next one in pounds? Never mind. Everybody cool? All right. Class is almost over. I want you to do A through F today, and then we're done. Please note the word is estimate. And I'm going to give you one piece of homework. Your homework I'm writing down in bright orange. Your homework. Okay? You're going to do those 6 things, and tomorrow you're going to tell me how long a meter is. And there will be a prize for the best answer. The prize will be the same prize that I use for currency in my classroom all year long. Gummy bears. So if you can tell me how long a meter is, you will score a sweet prize of gummy bears. If you don't like gummy bears, you can share them with people and make friends. And I don't remember when class ends. So when the bell rings, you're done. Tomorrow you will have your sheet of paper back. Class ends at 9:30. Look at that.